Kitsy Ghost is an album that explains Kanye and represents everything that makes creativity creative. Let's talk about that. Kitsy Ghost is Kanye West and Kid Cudi's 2018 album that they made as a part of a summer thing in which they made 7-track albums. Though due to workplace politics, it was only 4 albums. Many hold the assumption that 2018 was the most prolific era for Kanye West as a person and an artist. This isn't without reason, as Kanye had hardly any major controversies and Kanye's music was still at an insanely high level. His music utilized something which is barely used in hip-hop: minimalism. I don't have a face cam, but I was doing like that little like SpongeBob thing. Well, it's much akin to someone like Pablo Picasso, who started off by making beautiful paintings and later evolved into making extremely minimalist pieces, pioneering the Cubist movement. This is comprised of off-kilter art pieces with very bland colors and geometric shapes. This might not make sense to most, but those who like it really like it. The same thing goes for Kanye's work.
George Bush doesn't care about black people.
You go from the beautiful, maximalist, perfect paintings of My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy or The College Dropout to the bare bones minimalism of 808s and users. Kanye's controversies settled down far more around 2018. The years prior were the height of his controversy, where he was very open about not only his political views, but also his opinion on...
When you hear about slavery for 400 years, that sounds like a choice.
Yeah. While it's far less extreme compared to his more recent dramas, it still left a considerable dent in his reputation. Kanye has also had a troubled relationship with Kid Cudi. The two unlikely allies found each other at the Gap, of all places. Kid Cudi was a fan of Kanye at the time, and he also made some music of his own. However, compared to most SoundCloud rappers, Kid Cudi's early mixtape was actually listenable. It was so listenable, in fact, that Kanye gave Kid Cudi a feature spot on the song Welcome to Heartbreak off of his 4th studio album, 808s and Heartbreak. From here, Kid Cudi and Kanye's relationship had 2 different phases that alternate every 2 to 5 years. Phase 1 is where they are best friends and believe that the other party can never do any wrong. Phase 2 is the opposite thereof, where they believe that the other party is the worst person in the entire world. As of 2025, they are currently in Phase 2. However, as of 2018, they were in Phase 1 through 10, is Anthony Fantano's rating system. Fantano consistently gives Kanye notoriously average ratings, most infamous of which is his review on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, one of the most expensive recordings in hip-hop history, taking hundreds if not thousands of hours to make, in which he gave a light 6, i.e. slightly above average. This was much to the chagrin of basically everyone. However, in 2018, Fantano gifted Kitsy Ghost with the elusive 10 out of 10 rating. Out of the thousands of albums he has ever reviewed, he has only given a little over 30 albums a 10 out of 10 rating. So when an album gets a 10 from Anthony Fantano, it's a pretty big deal. Kitsy Ghost is a pretty likely candidate for being the perfect 10 out of 10 Kanye album. Does it have the most impressive production? No. Does it have the best lyrics? No. Does it have the most personality? Yes. Compared to most of Kanye and Cudi's other works, there aren't as many hooks on the album. The beats are nothing like a traditional hip-hop beat. Some don't even have drums. In theory, these differences would all make the album worse, but in practice, they didn't. Modern hip-hop is very corporate and commercialized. This is because making beats has become far easier with the advent of things like FL Studio and BandLab. The former product is digital, and the latter is completely free. These platforms give people who would have otherwise never had the chance to make music and connect with artists a chance to make music and connect with artists. This is all well and good until you realize that lots of up-and-coming producers don't listen to anything other than hip-hop, which makes their beats sound super generic and, for lack of a better term, bad. Most producers stick to super generic, people-pleasing beats, which makes the artist a lot of money, but it doesn't make the music very creative. The vocalists also don't do a whole lot and just make a bunch of catchy hooks and more or less call it a day. Kitsy Ghost, however, feels more human. It's not just radio-friendly slop, it actually means something. Oh my god, that's the craziest line I've ever wrote. Anyways, the project feels so distinctly human that nothing churned out of the hip-hop machine could possibly match the rawness and sheer honesty of Kitsy Ghost. The album is something that I seek to replicate with this channel that you're watching right now! This one. I'm making these videos that you're watching right now out of a labor of love. My other things simply weren't satisfying me, so I made a creative project that will satisfy me and improve people's days. That creative project is the one that you're watching right now. Kinda crazy how it works like that, man.